Okay, wow. This is kind of a little insane. I've never done anything like this before. This training is kind of a completely spur of the moment, absolutely unplanned, completely channeled and downloaded sort of thing. So I'm excited to dive into it because this way of looking at your manifestation journey is it's frankly completely transformed the way I've looked at my goals and my manifestations in really a way that I've been unable to see for like the past 2 years. So that's why it's kind of blowing my mind, because obviously I'm a manifestation teacher, and yet this download made me go, oh, that's how you do it. That's the missing piece. Because I don't feel like other teachers and other books, and Lord knows I have read them and I have implemented them. I don't think they've approached it this way. So I'm excited to share with you kind of this new realization. So let me back up. Here's what happened. Last week, I got some really promising news on this manifestation that I've been working on for a while. Okay. I spent all weekend. I was over the moon. I was super excited. And then on Monday, I got some not so great news. Okay. I mean, this felt like whiplash. I mean, total whiplash. It was like, and it wasn't, when I got the bad news, it wasn't even so much that I was disappointed about the actual news itself. It's just like I felt like that was just kind of like the final straw in this whole manifestation journey. Like, I just felt like the whole journey, the weight of the journey, all the back and forth, it just came sort of flooding at me in that one singular moment, and I was feeling it. And I didn't want to give up. I'm not one to usually give up with things, very rarely. But also I just felt like the whole process of manifesting this particular thing, I just felt so tired. Like I could just, all this back and forth, this whiplash, it was just wearing on me. I could feel my energy was low with this. My mental relationship with this whole process of manifesting this desire was just drained. It was just drained. It was like if we were a couple, if me and this manifestation were a couple, like we were needing to go to couples therapy, okay? Like my relationship with it was just not working. It wasn't healthy, and it definitely isn't what I wanted that experience to be, which that's the whole reason why we manifest things, is because we think that we'll enjoy what life will be like with it. And that includes the process of manifesting it too. And it was just miserable. And so I knew if I wasn't feeling aligned with this, I might as well be a hamster on a hamster wheel, right? The manifestation wasn't going to come if I wasn't aligned with the process of its becoming. So I just was feeling drained. I was just feeling absolutely spent by this whole manifestation process. And this is supposed to be the fun part, right? And then I felt bad because then I was like, well, if I truly believe that this manifestation was going to happen for me, then the little dips, the little fluctuations, the good news, then the bad news, all of that wouldn't even matter, right? Not to mention, personally, I hate when I struggle with this stuff because it's so easy to see it and to teach it to other people, right? But then I mean, obviously that's what I do for a living, but like it's harder to apply it to yourself. And then I was like beating myself up because I was like, oh, shouldn't I be good at this? And it just, it's funny. It made me actually realize that I would have nothing to teach you all. This whole training wouldn't even exist if I didn't have to go through the process myself, right? I'm just kind of sharing it with you in real time. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise to struggle with things so that you can get through that struggle and you can share what you learn, which is precisely what we're going to do today, right? But in that moment, I was saying I was feeling like a total imposter. Like I just felt so at odds with this whole process. And I knew it didn't have to be this way because Lord knows I have manifested enough successful things in my life. I've manifested my soulmate, my dream wedding, my dream house that we constructed, being on a reality TV show, my dream business. Like I've manifested enough things to know that the process can be a really fun one. That's why we enjoy the process of manifesting. This process I was doing right now didn't reflect any of those qualities. And so I knew it wasn't the right one. So, that whole saying, what you want wants you to. In this moment, I was kind of thinking, there's no way that what I want wants me. Like, we are feuding right now. We need to go to couples therapy. Like, I knew that this process was not matching it. It was not an easy process. So what do? Anytime that I'm feeling like I'm at a loss, I tune in, I connect, I talk to my inner guides. I pull out my journal, I ask questions, I relax, I get in that hypnotherapeutic mind state, that trance state. I relax enough until I can receive those answers, right? And usually it's just like a little trickle, a little inner knowing, a little intuition, feels good. I must have found the sweet spot because the answers were pouring in this time. I could not type fast enough. I was just channeling this download like faster than my mind could translate the blocks of thought that were coming in. It was explained to me in a way that I had never heard before. And like I said previously, like that's pretty phenomenal considering that I've studied this for a very long time. And yet this was kind of like brand new information, but at the same time, it made complete sense. So I'm literally going to take those notes that I sort of frantically wrote down. I went through them. I'm going to explain them to you here today, because if you were in that position where you're feeling like, man, this manifestation process just feels hard. It's not even fun anymore. I've been at it for years now. I'm tired. I'm drained. If you need to shake this up, if this process and this journey's been wearing you down, maybe it's been years and your manifestation hasn't shown up yet. Maybe you've gotten super close to manifesting that thing, but you never quite got there. Maybe you're just fed up with the back and forth and you just don't want to wait around any longer. If any of that speaks to you, okay, you need to reinvent the process from the ground up. Because I'm telling you, that's what I did the other day. I said, okay, I am done with this back and forth bullshit, universe. Okay? I'm tired of it. This isn't fun anymore. I'm done. I only want to engage with this manifestation if it's going to feel good. If it's not, we'll just move on to something else because I'm done with it. And I knew that it wasn't the manifestation process or even the good news or even the bad news that was creating my experience. Okay. Although it sometimes definitely feels like it. I knew enough about how our minds work that wasn't creating the experience. I knew that it was my own attitude and my own thoughts that was creating this rocky experience. So if that's the case, what experience did I want to create? Let me ask you, what manifestation experience or process or journey do you want to create? Now, first, let's just kind of get clear about what your current life experience, how you want that to feel. Because it's a little easier sometimes when we just kind of zoom out and view it for the life. So for me, and yours most certainly will be different, but for me, I wanted my life experience to feel fun, adventuresome, open, free. I wanted to feel like I was moving forward. I was entering a new chapter. I was, growing. I wanted to feel unlimited, aligned, happy. I just wanted to be enjoying myself, doing new things, doing what I wanted to do. With this whole manifestation process so far, I was feeling so stuck and stagnant. I just kind of wanted the opposite of that. Then I wanted to figure out what I wanted this manifestation experience to feel like. So that's kind of what you want your life experience to feel like. Let's zoom in even further. What do you want your manifestation experience to feel like? Now, this is a bit of a trickier, at least for me, it was a bit of a trickier question to answer, right? I knew what it had felt like that I wasn't enjoying. I knew what that felt like. For the past 2 years, it had felt very tiring. It had felt draining. It was mentally exhausting. It was like the universe was yanking and pulling my chain. It was like I was getting whiplash, oh, but it looked like it was happening. No, it isn't. Oh, this, that. Ugh. Okay. That's how it had been. And every time I felt that way, I knew I wanted to escape it. I wanted the thing that I wanted to manifest, but I was detaching myself from the experience of it because it was devastating to get excited and then not have it come through. That was what I was experiencing, right? So I knew what I didn't want. So let me ask you this. What about this manifestation experience that you're experiencing right now, this journey? What do you want to change about it? It's sometimes easier. And, in manifestation, we don't often focus on the negative all that much. But sometimes, if it's hard to articulate what we actually want, it can be much easier to look at what you don't want first and get clear about that so that you can figure out what you do want instead. So because I didn't have a clear picture of what I wanted it to be, honestly, it felt like nearly impossible for it to feel a different way. So because it's felt this way for so long, I couldn't come up with that automatically. So here's what I did just to start. I thought, okay, I know what I don't want. What's the opposite experience of what I just described? Okay, just what's the opposite? If I don't want to feel tired and drained and mentally exhausted and like the universe is yanking my chain and the whiplash and the detachment and the devastation, if I don't want all that, then I should want, what's the opposite of that? To feel energized, to fill my cup, to be mentally refreshed, to be balanced, to be grounded, to be loving, to be aligned, to be content. There's like the complete opposite, right, of what I described before. And so I wrote that down. I thought, okay, those are just the opposites. I literally pulled out the, dictionary, looked at the antonyms, what's the opposite? It's like, do I want that? Yeah, that sounds pretty great. I would love that. Right? The exact opposite experience sounded quite lovely. So that's what I want you to do now. Okay. Take a moment. You can even pause this, get your own journal out. What's the exact opposite experience for you? Just come up with the opposite. Okay. You don't even have to decide right then as you're coming up with it if that's what you want. You might want to tweak it a little bit. You might want to change it. Just write the opposite, come up with the opposite, and then tune in and just see if that's a description that you would rather feel and experience compared to the one that you have been feeling and the one you have been experiencing. My guess is if you don't like the first one, you're going to like the opposite more, or at least it's going to inspire you to come up with what you would like more. Okay. So for me, I felt good with that. Yes, sign me up. That's what I want the experience to be like. But how? I mean, it's great to realize it, but if it was that easy, right, I'd be doing it already, but I wasn't. So how do I go about creating this experience? How can I have this experience and, and be those things even when I get the bad news or even when the manifestation isn't there yet? I mean, that's the real crux, right? You're not depending on something else to be different for you to have that experience. And it was when I posed that question to my inner guides that I got this download that I'm going to share with you. Okay. It's all about focusing on your alignment. That's it. Full stop. Okay. It's not even about focusing on anything connected to your manifestation or the process of manifesting your desire. It's about moving through the actions, but your eyes, I would even say your physical eyes, but most definitely your inner eyes are focused purely on that end goal and just loving that feeling of the realness of that manifestation, being there in your mind. Because when you are focused there, then you can be open to whatever path the universe decides to take you on to get you there. Okay. How many times have you been driving down the road, maybe Google Maps or something, and you're like, what? Why is Google Maps taking me down this back road and this back road and this back road? Like, what in the world is Google Maps doing? You might be like, no, we just take the highway. You might think you know the route, but actually you end up getting to the destination. It's just a completely different way than you would have thought. But you might think, oh, I'm lost now. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. But really it was just a different route. That's what the universe is doing with you here. Okay. So all the good news, all the bad news, all the day-to-day stuff, that's all what we would consider the how. Okay. And here I should audibly hear you give a sigh of relief as I say this. Okay. That is all the universe's job. Yeah. Take it off your to-do list. Okay. Your only thing you have to concern yourself with is to know the truth of that end result that you seek. Okay. Your only job is to believe in it, to be there mentally, to hold it, to be receptive to it, to be a match to it. And the amazing news is, and I hope you feel the relief in this. This is why I said I want to hear you audibly sigh. You don't need to have to do anything with the how, other than the fact that you're just carrying out those physical actions while you're in that state of alignment. Okay. So yes, you're going to still need to take action, but when you're in that state of alignment, those actions, those ideas come to you and you take them, but you don't have to worry about how those actions affect or what sort of impact they have in the world, as long as you stay in that state of alignment. You don't even need to look for the result. You are holding the result in your mind, and then it will find you in your life. So I think a lot of times it's like, oh, but like, Brittany, like, I gotta check my bank account every single day. I gotta check the bank account so I see if my millions will be there. I'm like, trust me, if you just focus on your millions, if that's what you want to manifest, if you just focus on the millions in your minds, if it's in your mind, it's so real in your mind, trust me, your bank account will, you will check it at some point. And you will notice, oh, wow, I have millions. Or you will notice those sales coming in. Or you will notice the inheritance check that comes in the mail. Like, it will find you. You don't have to go be looking for it. And why I suggest not looking for it is because a lot of times when you look for it and you don't find it yet, then you think it's not going to happen. It's like watching a movie and there's a plot twist and then you're like, oh, they're not gonna, the hero's not gonna win. And then you just turn off the movie. In the middle of the movie, it's like, girl, finish the movie. You can't just say the hero's not going to win. You haven't finished the movie yet. Actually, it was actually really funny. This actually happened. I deleted the comment, but then I was like, damn it, why did I delete it? Because if you're watching this YouTube video, I'm sorry I deleted your comment because I should have told it to you straight. Somebody commented on one of my trainings, I think it was my subconscious mind reprogramming training. They commented saying, "Oh, this was just an ad." I'm like, and I was like, "Wait, what? This was just an ad?" I was like, "No, that training is really good. I like literally lead you through hypnosis during a portion of this training." I'm like, they're like, "Oh, 20 minutes in, I realized that this was an ad." And I was like, "Wait." And so I go back at the 20-minute mark. At the 20-minute mark, I just happened to mention that I teach a course because that's what I do for a living, right? I happen to mention I teach a course and that what I was going to teach you in the training is what I teach in the course. But here I'm teaching it to you for free. But that is one of the many things I teach in this course. And that person heard that and they automatically shut down. They're like, oh, this is an ad. And they left the training right before I was going to teach them the thing that they would have normally had to pay money for. They left it. And so it's like, I don't know, that kind of reminded me of this experience that like, if you leave right when you think it's going to go a certain way, you miss out. Like here, this poor person spent 20 minutes watching this training and learn things from the first 20 minutes. But like I was going to get into the meat and potatoes right after, and they leave right before. If they just would have watched for like literally another minute, they would have realized that no, actually I was teaching you all the free things. This was not an ad. And I just thought that was really funny. So this is kind of that comment, this situation, same with watching the movie and turning it off before you get to the end of it. Like you will, the manifestation will find you if you stick with it, if you hold it there in your mind. And if it hasn't found you yet, then, and you're not putting your attention on the, lack of it, it's not your problem. It means you haven't reached the end of the movie yet. The movie's not done, right? The circumstances around you, the good news, the bad news, all of that is the how. The universe creates all of that. Okay. And your only job, and when I say only, I mean only, your only job is to keep your inner eye set on your goal and to show up aligned to that goal no matter whatever circumstances the universe is bringing around you. Okay. You're doing your job, holding the vision. The universe is doing its job. And we don't need you looking over at the universe being like, why are you doing it that way? Why are you doing it that way? Trying to like meddle in its job. Okay. You stick with your job. The universe has got its job covered. It's been doing it for, I don't know, infinity. Okay. It's good at its job. But here's the kicker. Current circumstances around you, okay? They're not a reflection of your goal. You are the reflection of your goal. I'm going to say that again because this is really huge. The current circumstances around you, it's not a reflection of your goal. You are a reflection of your goal. And so that's why I say your only job is to be the end result that you seek, is to be your goal. You want to be a reflection of your goal. We don't need you looking over to the side and see what's happening in the 3D reality, because then you're going to start reflecting that. And if that isn't what you want, then you're going to be creating more of what you want. No, you are the reflection of your goal. So I find it helpful to kind of think of it this way. Okay. And this was the visual that was like part of the download that really resonated with me. Okay. So I'm actually going to share my screen and I'm going to explain this all to you. Okay. Because I find it very helpful to see. Okay. So share my screen. So I want you to imagine that it's almost like you got this, like, let's just call it like a lake. Actually, I'll change the color. You got this kind of, go away. You got this lake, right? This body of water. This is my lake. And then you have this big bridge. You're starting right here. And there's this bridge that takes you over the lake. And then your manifestation is on the other side of this lake. Okay. And here you are. I'll make it like, la la la, there you are. You're on this other side of this bridge, okay? And so your manifestation exists on that other side of that bridge, and your only job is to believe in your manifestation, to keep the realness of it so active and alive in your inner mind. The more you do that, the more focused you are on the bridge in front of you. And therefore, the closer and closer and closer you get to the other side, okay? That's just you taking step and step and step and step all the way across this bridge. Focus, focus, focus on inner mind. The closer you're going to get to your manifestation here, right? And so let's just kind of illustrate this with an example, right? Let's say that your manifestation is to have your dream sort of healthy, whole body. Okay. Let's say maybe you were dealing with some health related stuff. You just received a medical diagnosis that felt kind of counterintuitive to that. And now you just want to have this healthy, whole body. So notice how you're walking along the bridge is a direct match to that desire. Okay, this bridge, I mean, the bridge I drew was kind of curved, but let's kind of imagine that the bridge is actually just sort of a straight line across, as straight as I can make it. It leads you directly to the manifestation. Okay, that's what it's doing. Boom, there you are. You're level with it. You're an energetic match to it. Now, as you walk along that bridge, I want you to imagine that each time you take action towards your goal or your manifestation, every time you take action, I want you to imagine that you drop a little rock into this water from the bridge. Doop, doop. That's every time you're walking along here and you're taking action. And what happens when you drop a rock into a lake and some water? Well, you begin to see these ripples, right? These ripples kind of start to happen. I mean, they're not that big. They wouldn't go on the bridge, but you know what I mean? You see these ripples start to happen every time you drop the rock, right? And so every time you take action towards your goal and manifestation, you drop a rock into the water below, and that rock creates a ripple effect there in the water. So your action, maybe if you want a healthy body, your action might be eating healthy foods. It might be working out. It might be going to your doctor's appointments, taking your medicine, whatever it might be, right? Every time you do one of those actions, you drop a rock into the water below and it produces a ripple. It produces a reaction, right? You take an action and then there is a reaction. There is a response based on that action, okay? That reaction, that ripple, that's the universe's job. and it can react in any sort of way that it pleases. Okay. However it reacts doesn't impact you and where you are on that bridge. You could get bad test results. The scale could barely budge. You could not fit into that old pair of jeans. I mean, there could be any sort of reaction in the present moment. But that's way down there in the water, okay? You're high up on this bridge. That's way down there in the water. It doesn't impact you on the bridge. Unless you were to bend over that railing, right, on that bridge and want to get real close to that ripple in that water, and you focus on it. And if you do that, you're going to risk leaning over the railing and falling on into the water, right? And if you fall into this lake, there's going to be no way that you can get to that manifestation. You're going to be floating down here, and therefore you were nowhere near your manifestation. You're not anywhere level to it. Whereas if you just would have stayed on the bridge, it would have taken you right there, right? So we don't want to fall into the water. Falling into the water gets us way off course and not at all in line with our manifestation. So instead, you just drop the rocks each time you take an action, but instead of paying attention to the ripples that they create, you just move forward on that bridge towards the outcome you desire, holding only that in your mind. Okay? So you don't even need to focus on the test result or what the scale says or anything. Those are just little momentary blips. They're momentary little ripples, okay? You don't need to focus on the ripples. You were just focused on that end result. And that's where I'm going. That's what I'm believing. You don't need to question where it is or if it's going to happen or anything in the intermediary, okay? Because the intermediary, what's in the water, that's not part of your process. The only middle part actions that you do is you carrying out those actions in your alignment. So that's showing up to the doctor, that's doing the tests, that's eating the healthy foods. Those are the only things you're concerned of. So your mental focus is one, your alignment to your end result, or two, your appreciation of the end results that you've already manifested in your life, in your past. You can, I'll give you that too. You can focus on those too, on the good things that you're living right now. Those things that used to be manifestations for you, but now you're living them. Maybe it's the job you've created or the family you've created or whatever it is. You can focus on that too, right? That's it. Your mental focus is not on the how. It's not on the ripples. It's not on the effects. The universe handles all of that. Okay? You're just aligned to the goal. And when you align to it, what do you know? You take care of yourself. You receive energy from that alignment. You fill yourself up with it. You tune into it. It's never ending. It's like this, ever present energy source. Okay. You can it feels so good. It feels so right. You don't feel worn down anymore because you're not concerned with the day-to-day minutia little stuff, right? There's so much that's off your shoulders now that you just don't even have to concern yourself with. It's not my job other than to mentally be in my alignment and then physically do the actions. But the day-to-day reactions, the ripples, those are far, 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 far down below. Okay? They are far away from you. They're down in the water. They're nothing of your concern. Now, if there's feedback that's to be learned from those actions that you take, you trust that you'll learn them. You trust that they will make themselves known to you if it's required. But honestly, even at the end of the day, I don't even think that's so important because if you are aligned to your goal, you will be inspired to take actions that will lead you to your goal. So I'm not even so concerned about the feedback too. I think a lot of times people over-index on feedback. And so they're like, oh, I posted one Instagram reel and I only got 2 likes. So I must be doing it wrong. And then they stop. Whereas if they didn't pay attention to the feedback and they only kept the vision of I'm going to have 1 million followers and they just kept creating and creating and creating and creating with that vision, they would then be inspired to make changes that would lead to those more followers. So sometimes looking at the feedback, looking at the ripples in the water is what trips you up. And that's why I'm suggesting don't look down there. Keep your eye on the bridge. Stay on the bridge. Don't concern yourself with the ripples, because the ripples are they're just the intermediary. The reactions and the ripples on the surface of the water come and go. And why I say don't concern yourself with the reactions is because I've learned we as humans are notoriously bad at reading and judging the outcomes of the ripples, of the reactions. Okay? Like, if we judge the reactions around us, it removes any possibility of a miracle. It's us automatically determining that we somehow know the outcome. It's like us, like the example I was giving you before. It's like us turning off the middle of the movie, being like, I already know how this ends. The hero obviously is going to die in this movie. And so I'm just going to turn it off because it doesn't look like things are looking good. So obviously that's what's going to happen. When we all know usually the hero turns it around and things end up happening, but you turn off the movie too soon. You stop too soon. It's like the girl who left the comment, or girl or guy, I don't know, left the comment in my training and said, oh, this is just an ad, right before they got to the bulk of the good stuff. You're bad at judging the reactions around us, and it removes any possibility of a miracle. So you feel balanced when you only think about that one thing, right? You're no longer thinking about the millions of fluctuations or reactions or ripples that come up in life. You're just focused on that one thing, which is the belief in your goal, and all decisions are made and inspired from that truth, from the truth of your manifestation being real for you. So this process now is so easy because with only one thing to focus on, it's so easy to pour all your love into just one thing. I used to have this saying, I apologize, I'm going to take a little drink of water. I used to have this saying where I would tell myself, I'd say, the book is written and now I just read it. Meaning the universe has decided the outcome and now it's my job to just live my life and see how it all unfolds. That's what I used to say to myself. But actually what I've come to realize is that process is very untrue, okay? It's very untrue. I don't even need to read the book or watch what's unfolding, right? To look at the ripples, to watch what's unfolding, that's just drama. It's just entertainment. And if you don't like the intermediary reactions, if you don't like the ripples, if watching the ripples makes you feel like your manifestation isn't coming, if it makes you want to turn off the movie before it's done, if it makes you want to write nasty comments and say this isn't helpful before you get to the really good part, don't read it, right? If it's draining you, don't watch it. Now, nothing comes into my true awareness until the outside world matches the mental image that I've been holding in my head. So what I mean by this is I say, universe, I know you got this. I know you're handling all the intermediary ripples and fluctuations. So you just let me know when the manifestation is here. That's when I'll start paying attention. Okay. It's kind of like if you order something online, which we all do all the time, right? And UPS sends you an email every single day being like, your package is now in this random ass Louisiana town warehouse. Oops. Now we're back in New Jersey. Oh, we can't locate your package. Oh, nope, we found it. Now you're in Texas. It's like, do you ever get those notifications and you're like, what the heck? Like, this package is getting further away from me. What's happening? I just turn off those notifications. I say, you know what? Just let me know once the package is delivered to my address. I don't need to know where it is until it's here, right? I don't need to know what's going on. I don't need to know if you lost it. I don't need to know if it's found. I don't need to know that stuff. I don't need to know the steps in between. And why not? Because sometimes paying attention to those steps makes you think that the manifestation isn't happening, and that's not necessarily true. Now, if watching the steps makes you feel really good and you enjoy that, that's great. But you wouldn't be watching this video if you've been enjoying that process. This video is for the people who are like, this process sucks. I don't feel like I believe in my manifestations. And that's why I'm saying don't pay attention to all the little reactions and ripples that come up in between. So the process of this manifestation, the steps or the progress of this manifestation, it doesn't have anything to do with you. Okay? You don't have to concern yourself with that part one bit. And for that, I say thank goodness, because this was the part, at least for me, that I wasn't enjoying. Okay. It wasn't anything I was controlling anyways. Okay. I was looking at it. I was trying to control it. I would do an action. And then I was also trying to control the reaction to that action too, which was never, ever, ever in my control. Okay. And that gets really draining. It gets really, really draining when you think you're controlling something, but you're not. It reminds me, my husband and I went to Dave & Buster's for his birthday. We hadn't been since before the pandemic. And so we're like, oh, let's go. And my favorite game that I like to play, I can't even remember the name of it, but it's this one where you try to line up these blocks, and it had malfunctioned. So we got the person at Dave & Buster's to get our tickets back or whatever. No one was there. So we're like, hey, can you get our tickets back? And they're like, yeah, sure. I'll give you 3 free games. And so I was like, oh, fun. Thank you. I play the games. I guess I miscounted, and all of a sudden I'm playing the 4th time. And I thought I made it all the way to the end until I realized that the whole time I was playing, this is so embarrassing. The whole time I was playing, it was actually the computer playing. I wasn't doing it. And so I was like, dang, I just missed. And then my husband looks over. He's like, Brittany, that's the computer. You're playing how little kids play when their parents sure, go play the video game. But actually it's just the computer, doing an ad. That was what I was doing. That reminds me of this, because when we do the action and then we also think we're controlling the reaction to that action, that's us thinking we're playing the video game, but really it's just the computer playing. Okay. All that does is divert your attention, and therefore your alignment, the thing you can control. It diverts it away so that you're looking at that process and you think that the process is the one that's screwing up your alignment, but really it's just your distraction from your belief in your goal that was screwing up your alignment. Okay. It's not the process's fault. It's the fact that you were supposed to be paying attention here, and instead you're looking over there trying to pay attention instead. That's the equivalent of you dropping a rock from the bridge and then you hoisting yourself up and over the rail of that bridge and into the water, trying to control the direction that the water ripples in response, okay, in reaction to your action. Falling off the bridge is not a good thing, folks. We know this. We don't want to do that. So just to make this even clearer for you, okay, I'm going to describe 2 things. I'm going to describe the wrong way to go about this, and then I'm going to describe to you the right way. Okay. So let's just use this healthy body manifestation sort of example, right? The wrong way is this. You get this unfavorable test result from the doctor. You get all focused and tied up in that test result. Okay. You get weighed down by the process. You're feeling like you can't go on. You're overwhelmed by the waiting. You're overwhelmed by what's next. You're totally focusing all your attention on the how, on the ripples. But when you're distracted by the how, you're letting your true alignment to the goal of your ultimate health, you're letting that slip away. You're no longer focused on the realness of that goal of your ultimate health. You're focused on the unfavorable test result. You're making that part the real part instead. So think of it this way. Imagine that you're a drummer in a band, okay? And your job in this band is to keep the beat. Do-dum, 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 right? You need to hold it steady. And the universe, she's the lead singer of the band, okay? And so her job is to listen to the music that's created around her, your drumming, and then she sings and she riffs and she scats and she does whatever she wants, right? But imagine this. When you start trying to play your drum to how you think that lead singer is going to sing, then she's like, whoa, where's my beat? Where did it go? The song, it just gets all wonky. It gets all out of tune. Because no, your job is one thing and one thing only. It is simply to hold that pattern. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. To hold that drum beat steady, no matter what kind of riffs the universe is dropping on top of it. Okay? And as long as you keep beating that drum steady like that, the song is never going to end. Which means that there's always going to be time for you to make it over that bridge to your manifestation. And it sounds good. The song sounds good. It works out. It creates a song as the universe plays. You're co-creating with the universe. Or here's another example I like to give. Do you remember that old time sitcom, I Love Lucy? Right? I think we all know that sort of famous scene where Lucy and isn't her friend Ethel? I think it's Ethel. Lucy and Ethel are working at that chocolate factory, right? And they have to keep up with the conveyor belts of chocolates. So I kind of like to think of it like this. It's almost like you got two conveyor belts with chocolates, and your job is to take care of your conveyor belt. Okay? The universe has got its conveyor belt and you got your conveyor belt. But the moment I go and focus on the universe's conveyor belt because I don't think the universe is doing it the way that I want it to. And so I have somehow judged that the universe can't do it, even though the universe has been around way longer than I have, and the universe somehow needs my help. Then my own conveyor belt, the one that I actually can do anything about, gets all backed up and out of sync. And I'm having to pop chocolates in my mouth. And, it's a funny scene, although it's not all that funny when it happens in your real life. Okay. So that's what we don't want to do. What's the right way then? Okay, here's the right way. The test result comes back. It may have been lower than I wanted. Okay, interesting. And you can ask yourself this really important question. Knowing what I know about the realness of my manifestation, about what I see there on the other end of that bridge, what does this ripple mean? What does this mean? What does this result mean? Maybe this is going to make a really interesting story for my memoir one day. Or, wow, doctors are really going to learn a lot about my case and the power of my healing when they see me heal my body after getting this result. You see, I'm keeping the realness of my goal, my health, my wholeness, my healing. I hold that steady no matter what ups and downs are happening in my circumstances. I don't get so caught up in the present moment result. And if I do look at it, I look at it through the lens of how interesting it is given the realness I know and hold steady. Wow. I bet my story of this, when I share it, it's going to go viral someday. I know it's really going to help a lot of people know that there's hope. Oh, I can't wait to post this on Reddit someday so people can see actually it can go this way instead. Now, y'all know I'm a huge reality TV fan, right? I was on a reality show. It's kind of like, now, have you ever gone back? I've kind of rediscovered Survivor. Like, I freaking love Survivor, right? It's so good. And so I've been going back and watching all these old seasons of Survivor. So this is kind of like watching Survivor when you already know who wins. It's a very different experience than when you're watching it for the first time, like the current season, right? So, yep, I went on Twitter, I went on X. It got ruined for me. It's an old season. Now I know who wins as I watch this old season. And so when you already know who wins, you start to kind of notice in the editing, you notice all these ups, all these downs, all this drama. You can sort of see that particular player through a different perspective than if you didn't already know who the winner was. There's things that you'd pick up on that you wouldn't even really notice if you didn't already know. So watching the show is a completely different experience when you already know who wins. And so the same is true with your manifestation. It may be this month that the result matches what you desire. It could be next month. It could be the next month after that. It could be next year. It could be next decade. The universe decides that part, right? I just hold the vision of its realness 24/7. And honestly, when that's truly the case, when you are holding the realness in your inner mind, you can see it, you can smell it, you can taste it, you know it to be real. That's when the timing truly doesn't matter. Because you're no longer focused on the day-to-day other than how you show up feeling good and aligned. So the timing really, truly doesn't matter. There's zero lack of the goal in your mind when you hold it steady 24/7. It is there 24/7. It is belief. And so that steadiness every day is zero lack, which means zero concern for timing. It's already there. It's already in your mind. You don't worry about the timing for the things you already have. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not worried about where my phone is when I'm holding my phone. It's here. And so I want you to hold your phone in your mind, right? I want the manifestation to be there for real in your mind. And because it's so real, you don't worry about the timing. It's already there. And so you focus and you hold steady on that outcome. You never leave sight of it. It could be this month. It could be next month. It could be years from now, whenever. It's there, and I'm there with it every step of the way. And that's when your inner world starts to begin to morph into your outer world. Okay? Then boom, you have the realization that you're there. You go, oh, there's my manifestation. right? Trust me, like I said before, your manifestation will make itself known to you. You don't have to go search for it. You don't have to go looking. It will slap you in the face. You will know it. Okay? Once it's there, it's going to let you know. It will find you. I almost think of it sort of like if you grew up in the 90s like I did, kind of like these transparent film sheets. Okay, maybe you remember those clear films that your teacher would write with the projector markers and project onto the screen or in the classroom. I almost imagine that you kind of have like two projector film sheets, okay? There's one on the bottom that projects what's happening right now in your 3D reality. Okay. And then there's one on the top that's the realness of your manifestation in your inner mind. Okay. And the reality, the 3D reality one shifts and morphs, but you just keep your inner mind one, manifestation one, the same. And for a while, those two transparent sheets, they're not matching. This one's staying the same. This one's changing. Your outer reality and your inner reality aren't matching yet. But you don't focus on that. You only focus on the realness of your inner reality, the realness of that top transparent sheet, until eventually this one shifts and changes and morphs, and eventually they both match. It's just one clear matching picture. The transparent film begins to morph and change until what's underneath it matches what's on top of it. And then we notice, wow, great. And then all of a sudden you've manifested that thing in your 3D reality. You can add that manifestation to your collection of things that you have now to enjoy in the present moment. Okay? And then you get to start doing it all over again, doing the same process, but with a new goal, holding a new vision, while enjoying what you've already created, because that's the whole point of life, is to enjoy what we have, right? You can enjoy that in the now. Anything you manifest just becomes yet another thing now to enjoy. So let's just kind of, to end this, I just want to recap truly how easy this can be. Okay. Let's get super clear on what is your job and your job only. Okay. So at any given moment, you will only spend your time focused on 3 things. Okay. 2 are mental, 1 is physical. Number 1, mentally, you focus your inner vision on what you want. You stay plugged in, you stay tuned into the realness of that. Number 2, mentally, you can also decide in the present moment to focus on past things that you've already manifested that you appreciate now. So for me, I might focus on my manifestation, the inner vision of what I want to create, or I might focus on my husband, my house, my business, my family, awesome vacations I went on, our wedding, great food that I get to eat, my body. Like, I kind of think of those past manifestations. They're kind of like your collection. They're the collection of the good things in your life. And once that inner vision of what I'm currently in the process of manifesting matches my outer vision, boom, it then joins the collection. It becomes a manifestation in my collection now too, that I get to enjoy in my now. And the third thing, this is the physical thing. From this state of mental alignment, where you're focusing on what you're currently manifesting and the realness of that, or what you've already manifested, then you're inspired to take actions. But remember, the reaction to those actions are not your job. They are not your focus. Okay? You just enjoy the present moment experience of taking the action. Okay? You just enjoy it because you're in your alignment by focusing on the realness of that manifestation, or by focusing on the things you already have, points 1 and 2. So anything that aren't those 3 points that I just mentioned, they aren't your focus. Literally anything. Okay? You can ask me any question, but what about this, Brittany? What about, no, those are the 3 things. Wow. Did that just get simpler, or did that get simpler compared to what you were doing before? Oh, and get this. I just looked at the clock. It's 4:44. So I think you got this. I think we got this. Isn't that just a relief? I know for me, I was like, whoa, I was doing like a million things, and now I only need to do 3. That's easier. That's how I felt. I felt relieved. This whole thing just got so much easier because with this plan, you're no longer trying to control the uncontrollable. You know your role, you play it, you do it, you manifest. It really can be that simple. I really hated how I felt during the manifestation process before. I had this download. And I'm so glad that this process doesn't have to be any harder than it needs to be, right? So one last thing I'll share with you here real quick before I let you go. So one just sort of call out that you have to be careful about, okay? You have to practice this, okay? It's simple, but it requires practice. So before I film this training, I was actually just got off the phone talking with a friend of mine, and I hung up the phone and I realized, wow, Brittany, you just spent 30 minutes talking about your judgment of all the ripples, all the reactions that were happening in your life right now. I just took that phone call. I was up here on the bridge. Hello. And then I decided to, stand still, and I decided to peer over that railing, looking at the ripples in the water and complaining about all the ripples. And then I wondered why I felt so shitty when I hung up, So don't talk about the ripples. Don't focus on the ripples. Don't let that be the story. There's so much story down in those ripples. We're not interested in that story. Talk about the destination on the other side of that bridge. Talk about it as if it's real. Doesn't have to be real yet. It's real up here. And that's enough. That's enough reason to talk about it. People are gonna want to talk about the ripples in the water. It's just kind of what we do. It's just because that's what they can see from their vantage point. I mean, gosh, I stopped sharing my screen too soon. This is what it looks like. People are going to want to talk about the ripples because all the people that you talk to, they're over here. Well, maybe they're not over there. They're over here on the shore. There's a friend, there's a friend, there's a friend, there's a friend, there's a friend. And you're talking to them and they're so close to the ripples. So that's all they see, right? So they want to talk about the ripples, but you're up here. You're up here and your vision is set on something bigger. And so talk about that because you're closer to that and that's what you can see, right? So I want you to talk about that instead. Stay up on the bridge above all of that because you know what? When you get above all of it, it's just not so loud. Okay. It's peaceful up there. It's quiet up there. You can focus up there. Just stay up there. All right. Don't do as I do. Do as I say. It's a process to learn all of this. Right. So here's the thing though. And we haven't really gotten into this and it's kind of its whole other thing, but it's another thing I want to call out. Okay. Staying up there on the bridge requires you to believe in the realness of your goals. It requires you to have confidence, right? In that realness, to believe in its realness. And Lord knows that there could be any sort of number of thoughts that cause you to question the realness of your goals, that cause you to question, to believe like, am I just BSing myself and thinking that this goal will happen for me? Like, can I really believe in its realness? But the good news is that's something that you can create and you can train your brain into focusing more on. So if you find it difficult to believe in the realness of your goals, if you find yourself lacking belief in your goals, and that's why you're wanting to look at the ripples all the time, I have the perfect solution for that. Okay. It's called Be Confident in 30 Days. Pretty self-explanatory. For 30 days, I take you by the hand. I help train your brain to believe in the realness of your manifestations, to do your number one job, okay? And to make that easier and easier for you at the subconscious level. And by the end of the 30 days, you will wholeheartedly be able to look at that goal and know that it's yours. If you've listened to my content before, you know one of my favorite mantras is, well, of course. Like, well, of course this is happening. You just don't even question it. You just know. That's a certain degree of confidence, right? And then it makes it that much easier to keep your eyes on the prize. You believe the prize. You know the prize is yours. But that requires reconditioning your mind into that belief if you don't already have it. Because a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So let's spend 30 days together training your brain. How we do that is through the use of hypnotherapy. I mean, I think including the bonuses, there are over 16 hypnotherapy sessions included in this course, which is like astounding. I've never seen any course that includes that many, but I have each one for specific situations that you can use. There are daily action items. There's coaching exercises. There's teachings, you name it. I give you something to chew on every single day that's going to build up that confidence and build up that belief in your goals. Because each day is designed to progress you into a stronger and stronger confidence and belief in your dreams. I think a lot of times we think that confidence is like, look, I believe in myself. I'm so great. And it can be that. That's fine. But confidence is also belief. And you need to have belief in your goals in order to manifest. So I highly recommend that you explore this course. That's going to help you accountable. That's going to help keep you accountable to this, right? Belief is that key ingredient for your manifestations. We've realized here that it's really your only job. Your only role that you have to do is to keep the belief. So let's help your brain get good at it. Okay? I'm going to drop the link in the description so you can go ahead and check that out if that's something that you know you need to work on. Could be the missing piece for your manifestations. But until then, I want you to remember your role, remember your job, and just have fun with it. Let the universe do the rest. You've been doing too much. And I want you to be just so enamored with this part of the puzzle that you just hardly feel the need to even pay anything else, pay any attention and give it any mind. And just let me know how that goes for you, okay? I'm rooting for you.